Andrew, thanks for being with us again to talk about the report, the Australian report out on what actually seems to be working in Australian church planting. One of the things I wanted to draw out was the idea of intentionality. There seems to be some good evidence now to show that if you are actually quite intentional, as opposed to, if you like, just being led by an idea, but if you're actually intentional in the way you plan things out, this can actually be a great benefit to the church plant. And particularly even before you start the church plant. Can you explain a bit for us about the value of being intentional even before you plant?
It is interesting, isn't it, that a lot of the correlations between a larger number of unchurched people in your congregation, greater growth, relates back to various things that could be identified as, prayer, intentional membership classes, these things that indicate someone who's leading with a greater clarity, someone who's leading with skin in the game. It was interesting to see the correlation between someone who's funded their own wage themselves and their church growth. All of these things shouldn't surprise us, should they? Because congregations, people feed on leadership. And one of the key pieces of leadership is clarity, burden and passion and energy. And so the greater the clarity of the leader, as that filters down, the more likely it is people will catch it and jump on board with it. Whereas if it's just a vague sense we want to start a new church to be something others aren't, then as that wafts down into further and further people away from you, it just becomes, let's just do church. Well, that's not going to change the world. So intentionality is a huge piece, but I would say an intentionality that's driven by a very passionate, red-hot energy to reach the lost.
So you're talking about vision now?
Well, I guess, yeah, a particular, but not just vision, but a particular vision, which is that time's short, heaven and hell are real. Jesus went to the cross to save people, and he gave up his life to that end. The more that we can cultivate amongst our leadership that burning hot passion for the lost, the more it will filter down and people will be captured by it as well. I call that intentionality. I think that's the thing that we need to pursue. Now, in light of that, it's important though to have that tempered or strengthened with, to have this white hot passion, but tempered and strengthened with, I know what I'm doing as well. So that when I set up church and delegate leadership and work together with teams, I actually know what I'm doing. And the reason I think that makes a difference, and I suspect this is seen in the correlation between leaders who have been involved in a plant beforehand, had some kind of apprenticeship experience. You only get one shot at planting in a context. It's very hard to make a bunch of mistakes and then turn it around and get it healthy again. You almost need to get a new leader in. And in a church plant context, because there's no culture, because there's no history, your ability to get it right from the start makes a massive difference. And so, I think we do need to encourage to recognise the importance of not jumping in at 22 and planting. Having, although there is a Spurgeon who comes, we want to encourage Spurgeon again, but, to have the guy who does get some good deep theology under his belt, has some good ministry experience, so when he lands in a plant, he can lead with clarity, with heart and passion and skill, and know what he's doing. I think all of these things are critical.
So we want to encourage more of those sort of Timothy-Paul relationships. Is that the idea, that we want to be matching people up?
Yeah. Not just the relationship, of course, but I've been with you in the work, and I've seen how the work is done. It's MTS, MTS prior to look. Part of our experience in the last 30 years is bearing this fruit, that it's MTS prior to college, a couple of years in a church context where you will learn the ropes. That package is hard to beat. It shouldn't be a rule for us that dominates and dictates, but we ought not be embarrassed that it actually does bear fruit and does work. and encourage guys to get past the I'm a young buck who just wants to get out there and do it. If you want actually to get out there and make an effective church plan work, then you need to skill up.
Zeal with tempered.
Yeah, with knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about actually applying that intentionality to church life itself. Many people in the network itself have found the advantages of membership courses and things like that. Do you see that sort of intentionality playing out?
Yeah. One of the dangers, though, isn't it, with this kind of survey is membership course. I'll tack on a membership course and I'll get the same result. No. I think rather what happens is if a membership course is used by someone who is clear about why they're doing it, what they're trying to achieve, how it fits into the rest of the work, in the context too of an outward burning passion that gets expressed in a membership course, then you've got a multiplier. You actually have a thing that will more quickly get people connected in to the vision and the heart of what you're doing, and it'll be a good vision and heart that they'll therefore be more useful as they enter the whole life of church together. So just putting a membership course isn't the key. It's what stands behind it. We've been doing membership courses for decades now, and people have just tried to copy it. And it's interesting, it's not just the course or the content even. It's what you bring to it that makes such a difference, which comes back to intentionality.
And that whole idea of having clarity.
Clarity, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Andrew, thanks very much. The study is now available for everybody, so I'm sure we're going to encourage people to look more and more at it. I'm sure you'll have more to say on it as the time comes.